Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we're back with another slime video, and it is time to take on Inferno 3 of Beatdown Battle against Grucius, who is slightly annoying. So he nerfs blues, so you can't take in the Warrior's Mind 1.5 anniversary team. 15 turns of that being nerfed is not what you want to see. He has a minus 50% resistance to magic. He is stunnable, so the other half of the video is going to be the stun team. Honestly, this is only going to be two teams. It's going to be the current meta as we have now with just Mirin, Shuna, and Traya, and then it's going to be the stun team. And then whenever the new units come out, it'll make Beatdown Battle easy, and by the third one, it's going to be a joke, just like all the other ones are. So, let's go ahead and get started with the normal team that I'm running, except not Xion, it is Milim. There you go. So this is what we got. Let me switch this around. Okay, so we've got the Hero 2.0 for the resistance down, the extra orb damage, because that's what you're really looking for, is extra orb damage. Isis for the green orb conversion and the green buff. Milim for the convert. Shuna's DPS. Traya's convert. This should work in theory, right? Editing Joker here. Hello. It's a couple days after I recorded this, but the new Sokka, has released, and she will make your life a whole butt-ton easier. So for this first team that I'm about to show you, you could swap out Dark Milim for Sokka. You already have the turn 1 orb change covered, so you don't really need another one. And this Sokka will help you do more damage on your normal orbs, which is really what this team is going for, rather than having, the ult buff from Milim that you can only use really, once every so often because it costs so much. So if you have Sokka, you can swap her in. If you don't have the Hero 2.0, but you have Sokka, you can switch them around and keep Milim in. It's really up to you, but, if you want to make your life really easy, you get Sokka, because she will take care of you. But let's get back to the actual video now. Right? Thankfully, set starting hand means that you can either use Princess Milim for her orb change, or you can use Traya. I have Milim here for the ult buff and the turn 1 orb change, so we can save Traya in the back and leave her as cheap as possible for now. So turn 1, after the blues get nerfed. Thankfully, oranges are not nerfed. I don't really recommend bringing an orange team in here, but I guess you could. I don't know, I'll have to try it. But let's bring Shuna in for the hero. We'll leave all of our magic units up front to do as much damage as possible. Traya, even though she has type advantage, technically with that extra 6% damage, we do want her in the back because she is fulfilling that same role that Water Rimuru would do, was that if you get a terrible hand, you can just get yourself out of it. Kind of like this. So, this is actually really good for us, because what we can do is we can bring Traya in for Milim. We could do the orb change with her, and then we could yoink the 3 and buff the greens. So there's no nerf blue. Now they're all Shuna orbs. Traya doesn't really have a point to be up here anyways now, so we can send her back to the line, and then we can have a whole hand of Shunas that are going to be crits. We'll use Mirin to get our follow-up attacks going, and this is really what sets us off. Ideally, you're going to kill before turn 8, because on turn 8, the beginning of turn 8, he gets like 100 or 80% crit resistance and pierce resistance, which means that your damage is going to tank real fast. So, you're going to want to go 7 turns or below, which for a lot of people, that just will not be possible. Alright, so we didn't get, unfortunately, if that one other orange had been a green, we would have gotten another protector. But it's fine, because we don't really need to stack these protectors. So that was good damage right there. That is an incredibly lucky hand. Wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and... ooh. What can we do here? We could... Ooh, you know what we could do? We could swap the ult, yoink it. Yeah, okay, okay, so we've got 3 Shuna orbs and that. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap Shuna's ult for a green. We're going to yoink the greens, we're going to buff, and then we're going to debuff with the hero. So now another full hand of Shuna, We're going to have her EX ult after this turn, plus like another 4 bars or something, because, you know, these are all oranges. But this is going to do a lot of damage. She's going to have the extra crit damage and light damage. The resistances are down, and our orbs are going to do extra damage. This is going to be a very good turn right here. And we're back up to 100 points. So 44,000 to hit. Alright, so we're going to do 22k on the follow-ups. Almost 100k right there. Except for the guard. And he guarded the last hit, of course, because why wouldn't he? Alright. Alright, I mean, we're turn 4 and he's lower than half HP already on Inferno 3. And that's pretty good right there. So, what do we do now? We don't really have the points to steal anymore. We do, we could. Definitely could, but I kind of want to alt buff here as well. Or we can get real cheeky about it. Actually, you know what? I might get cheeky about it. Hold on. Let's get you out of here. Let's do this and we'll swap again. We still have the light buff and the crit damage buff with Shuna, so that's good. We can reapply Mirren, so that's now what, three turns of full Shuna Sens. That's really like the good power coming off of here. We're not going to have enough points to use the resistance down again, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. We're holding off on the ult because honestly, the normal orbs are where you're going to get most of your damage from. 66k, the follow-ups, 4, 15, 16, guard, 15, 33. Alright. We'll take that ult. Milim gets hit. Unfortunate, but we're going to live. And now we can do the ult buff here. And then we'll get the EX ult with the extra 70%. We'll reapply the crit and the light buff, and then we'll send these 3 Shuna orbs, I guess, because that's all the points we have. And we'll do this. And we'll see if we can kill here. I'm pretty sure we will. So we'll watch Shuna's ult, because it's the first time. It's a really fun team. It's a very interesting, fun-to-use team on this stage. So Melty Bride does probably about 300-ish, 400? 350, and we just immediately destroyed him. Didn't need the follow-ups. The ult follow-up would have done about 80k or so, maybe like 60, because it's only 20% of the ult damage, unfortunately, not 50. But there we go. There's Inferno 1 complete. Now, obviously, if you don't have the meta team, we're going to go with the stun route, and it's going to be nasty. So we're going to record it, and I'm going to voice it over because it's going to take probably a long time. So we'll be back. Alright, it is time to stun. And stun, and stun, and then maybe if you get unlucky, not stun, but then the next turn you should be stunning. So, if you don't have the meta team, you can get around it slightly by using this team. Veldora, you kinda need him. You kinda need him because he's raising your skill cap by 45. He's resetting your costs of all your skills, which will get very expensive if you don't. And he's also buffing your magic damage, which we're trying to make our 2 primary DPS units here, being Milim and Raphael, do more damage. So he's kind of necessary. Shuna support, not necessary. You can use whoever. You could use Bride, Shizu if you want. You could use Ramrus if you want. Doesn't really matter. But Dark Veldora is necessary for the strategy. Traya, free-to-play unit, very good free-to-play unit. Isis, free-to-play unit, very good free-to-play unit. Princess Milim, she is important here. You can get away with not using her and subbing in another orb changer, maybe to cover the orange side. So you could definitely bring, like, Space Ranga if you wanted. He's magic. You could bring Sufia. You could bring free-to-play Aaron. You could. It will go a lot slower because you won't have the single target damage that Milim has, and you won't have the ult buff that you can occasionally use, but there are other orb-changing options, if that's what you're going for. We do have Valentine and Milim up here as frontline support for points, so that turn 1 we can start with 42 points, so we could use both Traya's orb change and the Isis green buff to really get us rolling, get us good on points, get us good on gauge. Guy, stun. He's here to stun. Guy stonks every single month are going way, way, way up. We've got Violet attached to him because she has a every 2 turns you get protection gauge. If you don't have Violet, you could use Water Shion. She has the same trait. You could use Space Rimuru, Wind Milim, the original hero, for their turn 3 protection gauge if you want. I just wanted a protection gauge unit on him, because he's going to be up front pretty much every turn, almost. And then Raphael is our damage dealer. Mine is obviously 120, not realistic for a lot of people, but you know, I got him, so we got to use him. If you need a substitution for Raphael, there are limited options, unfortunately, as far as light units are concerned. If you have Shuna, like if you magically pulled Shuna, you don't have anybody else, but you have the main pieces of this team, bring her. She's gonna work. You won't get the crits, but you'll get the extra light damage on top of the magic damage on top of the ult damage. It will just help you out. You can bring Ahsoka if you want. She is single target light magic, which will definitely help. It's just gonna be real slow going. Other light units, old OG Shuna is a single target unit. Definitely not a DPS, but she can get the job done. You could bring, you know, Rimuru, Shion, Gazel. They're physical, so they're not going to get the magic buff from Veldora, but, I mean, if you're already going to be here for a while, you might as well bring what you can. As far as my lower tier units, you could use Lumi. She's single target. Her orb change won't be effective here, but you can definitely use her light buff as well if you have the points. Light Hinata from Light 2 or 1.0, she is magic. She is single target. Can use her. Again, her orb change won't really be too great. She does have a defensive skill, so you can kind of maybe take the heat off of you a little bit. But then we have Octogram Leon. Physical again, but he is single target. He does have a personal ult buff, which is cheap-ish. So, I mean, there are options for you to use as far as light units for your main damage dealer, but Raphael will be the best apart from the new EX Shuna. So that's why we're using her. And yeah, the idea is that you send full hands of greens, and then you stun. And then you use Veldora to reset all of your orb changing in your stun, and then you stun again. So, let's go ahead and pop this up. We're going to go at light speed now. So turn 1 we have 40 points, so orb change and the green buff. So now, turn 1 is just this. It's always going to be this. After that, stuns. There are a few turns here where I don't stun and I do take some ults, and one of them is a misplay and one of them is I kind of don't really want to do anything. So we get really good RNG right there. We just have the Isis orb change to use. We've used Guy's stun. We've reset the costs of both of those skills now with Veldora. We're sending full greens. And that is pretty much how the next 10 minutes are going to look. So here, not really the best hand, but we're going to stun again. And then we can get out of it. Like, we do have a lot of units that can orb change here. So Tria's Steel hits up right there. We can then use Veldora to reset the skill cost, and then we can use Tria's orb change again, and then we can get her out of here for Milim. Really good to keep Tria in the back, that way we can take advantage of her orb stealing capabilities. It's really important that you are sending full hands of greens almost every single turn. So there we go, we sent the ult. We were already taking off a decent chunk of damage for Inferno 3, right? Like, that's not an insignificant amount for 4 turns of not meta units. So here we've got triple ults. We do have to stun with Guy though, so we are going to swap someone out because I don't want to take this ult. So Guy will come in. We do have another green incoming, so when we swap Guy out, we will pull another green. So now we have 2 ults, magic buff, we're going to stun, and then we're going to send it, get rid of those 2 ults, do some good damage, 35k, 50k, and then yeah, it's pretty much this. So, I mean, we could sit here if you want, and we can go through it, or we could just kind of fast forward and skip around. This turn, I mean, would be great because we have the 2 converters, right? So we can take care of all those orbs. But I do want to get rid of this Isis ult, so I think we go ahead and just do this. Yeah, so we just do the full hand of greens to get back up to another protection gauge, get us good on points. Next turn, when we have ults, we're also going to use the Isis ult, I believe, just to get it out, because you really don't want ults because it's holding up your your full orb capabilities. So we took that ult right there. We didn't stun. We could have stunned, but I didn't. So that was a misplay. So then we got binded, but it's okay because the bind actually worked out in our favor. Trya was the lowest damaged unit, or lowest HP unit, and she was also not binded because I have my bind bracelets, or bind earrings on, so we hit that 10% chance. So here, we're going to use Raphael's stun because he also has one. It's 55 points, but we got points to spare. So we're just going to burn out all 3 alts plus these greens, get a little bit of points back, get another Veldora Protector, and then we have yet another ult. But we can also orb change out of this too. So you guys get the idea of what needs to happen. Full hands. We're halfway through the fight. I believe I kill on turn 15, of which if you're not running this, optimized team, it's going to take a little longer. I saw the Japanese YouTuber do it in 22 turns. He brought Ranga instead of Milim, I think. Space Ranga. So he had more orb changing, but also less single target DPS. So it, your kill turns will vary, but we will beat this stage. Everyone will still be alive. And unfortunately, we are not able to do a full send here unless we bring in and use some expensive orb changing. So we're just gonna run with it. We've stunned him. We've made back a few points. Not a full 6 orb send, which is unfortunate because that would have been good. But we did get the extra protection gauge right there, so we now can use Veldora to reset everything that we need to use again. And we're actually going to use Guy's triple orb change into oranges because I wanted a full hand of something. And I guess it worked out. So now we can bring Trya in, reset all of her costs. We're not going to use any of it, and then we'll get her away, just because I want them cheap. And then we'll stun. So we'll send this Ice Assault, we'll get these, we'll get another Ice Assault next turn, which, again, isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it does work. Here, we get fairly lucky. Let's use the orb change. And then we can kind of just go ahead and do it. We're going to take out Isis for Raphael because we have another green coming, and I want that full hand of greens. Let's go ahead and use Raphael's stun because it was cost reset, and I don't want to have to reset guys twice because it just gets into a very weird kind of circle of it always costing more than it should. So the Raphael stun is definitely a good one-off scenario when you don't have enough to reset Guy, but you don't want to use it again. Because having it be at 65 down to 45 and then having to use it every single time is not nearly as effective as having it at 25. So, again, we're ulting. We send these nerfed blues because I want them out of my hand, and that actually worked out pretty well. We also didn't stun again, so we took that ult for Raphael, who tanked it like a champ, but we're going to stun now. So you can, depending on the strength of your units, get away with not stunning 1 or 2 times. Just a few, though. Definitely not more than, 3, though. Because he'll end up probably killing the unit that you don't want to be killed. And eventually, they're going to get whittled down if you let him live. So, ideally, you'd be stunning from turn 2 to turn whatever. But if you are confident in your units and their tankiness, you can let a turn slide in case you get really, really bad orb RNG, and you don't want to waste so many points trying to get out of it that you don't make it back and all of your costs get out of control. So turn 12, we got 3 more turns, so we might as well just sit through it. Same old triple ults here, but thankfully we were able to only have the one come in. So now we can bring Guy in for Trya, and then we can use to do Veldora to reset the skill change or skill cost for Milim. And then we can stun, and then do another 6. Call it good. We're almost there. We're almost done. So, la-di-da. Turn 13. We get another fairly decent hand right here. And we have 236 points, which is great. It is great. But we have 3 ults in the back, and I really don't want them in the back anymore. So, what are we going to do here? We can use Trya, we can steal some orbs here, we can, make do. So we'll do this, we'll swap Raphael out, we'll hold him in the back for next turn, and then we can go ahead and stun, steal, change, change into a full 5 send plus the ult with 136 points still left. So, I mean, that's why it's really good to keep everything as low as possible. Don't use Guy's skill like twice in a row without resetting it, because then things get very expensive. Here, it's another kind of meh turn, but because Tri only has one ult, or one orb, we can just bring her in, bring Raphael in, reset, and then stun, send 3 ults, and look pretty good. So that's what we're going to do after I think about it for a little bit. So we will bring Raphael in for Trya, full 6 send. We're going to stun with Raphael again, because again, I don't want to have Guy's skill cost anymore. Except, I think I pull an idiot move and use it anyways. Yeah. So I stunned again. I misplayed there. He was already stunned. I didn't have to use Guy's skill. We just reset it, but we did it anyways. So we get him very, very low right here. And this is the kill turn. He's got a sliver of health. And look at our hand. It's a almost perfect hand. So we'll get Guy out of here. We have another green incoming, so when we swap ices out, we'll get that green orb back. We're going to use her orb change, as costly as it is, because I'm banking on this being the kill turn. I have confidence that a full hand of greens with 4 Raphaels can kill Grucius right here. So we bank on it. I don't stun, I don't do anything, I send it, and 6,000, 6,000, 6,700, 13k, and we kill. So there we go. We have beaten Inferno 3 with the off-meta stun team. It did work very, very well. I'd say better than some of the other stages, because sometimes they have a bit more health. But again, this was the team. You do have substitutions you could make. Just know that it's not going to happen on turn 15. It's going to happen on turn 20, turn 25, just depending on how strong they are. And how lucky you are with Orb RNG, right? You could get consistent hands of shit blues, and then I would just reset. But hopefully this kind of shows you a little bit. Try and make the team. Let me know if it works out for you, what other team you made revolving around the stun. Let me know in the comments, but that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.